Once we know how to graph and visualize various types of functions, it's also important to be able to perform basic operations arithmetically with them. Here we're going to look at some of those basic operations. First of all, let's review the terminology. Suppose that I have f of negative 2 equals 5. Remember, this is representative of f of x equals y, so we can rewrite this as the ordered pair negative 2, 5. When x is negative 2, y is 5. Likewise, if g of negative 2 is 3, then we know that the ordered pair negative 2, 3 exists on the function g of x. If I want to perform the basic operations of addition, subtraction, things like that on these functions, the notation will look something like this. So if I want to do f minus g of negative 2, we can think of this as f of negative 2 minus g of negative 2. We know f of negative 2 is 5 minus, we know g of negative 2 is 3, so we are then able to calculate 5 minus 3 is 2. If I want to perform the operation of division, I can think of this f over g of negative 2 as f of negative 2 over g of negative 2. Again, I know that f of negative 2 is 5 and g of negative 2 is 3, and so those two functions give us 5/3. It can get a little more complicated if we're dealing with functions where we aren't given numerical values. So let's look at an addition example where we're told that f of x is equal to 4x squared minus 1 and g of x is equal to the square root of x. Notice our terminology is the same. This is the same as f of x plus g of x, which gives us 4x squared minus 1 plus the square root of x. Here's where we check for like terms, and if we did have any, we would combine them. Notice here as a point of review, one of the things that we can see here is that the domain is not going to be all real numbers. If you remember, there were two special cases. One was if a radical existed, which it does here, and the other was if there was a fraction in the denominator. When that radical exists, we know that whatever is under that radical has to be a positive number. So our value has to be greater than or equal to 0. And we can think of that on a number line, that x is greater than or equal to 0. And our domain then can be represented by the interval 0 to infinity.